Right, so with the last couple of months or last month or whatever, you've been watching SmackDown and you have been witnessing the return of the bad guy Rock. Hollywood Rock has returned. And we haven't really spoke about him. There's a reason why I'm bringing him up, but just initially, how much of a breath of fresh air is The Rock returning? Or is he just so good he makes everyone else pale in comparison to him as far as charisma?
No, what he's done, he's a one-man gang of bringing back the Attitude Era is what he's done. Because he'll go out there and he would do interviews like it was 20 years ago. And he's kind of funny, and it is a breath of fresh air because The Rock, I mean, who doesn't like The Rock, even being a bad guy? And see, that's what makes a great heel. When you want to see what this heel is going to say and how he's going to roast his opponent or the guy he's with. And I mean, you're listening to him and you're waiting to hear something smart ass out of his mouth. The Rock is what you're looking for. But in doing so, and I think this is the point you're getting to, I think he crossed the standards and practices line.
He did exactly
in language. So what do you do?
So apparently the problem is not only in promos, which are scripted. Rock didn't used to do the scripted ones. Now with Brian Gewirtz coming in, then he does very much scripted promos. To the point where they know where he's going to swear in the monologue, and then they manage to bleep it out in the right places because it's live. But apparently there's a memo sent out to WWE talent talking about the need to adhere to PG guidelines on television and also, most importantly, social media. But the problem is that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, who's on the TKO board of directors, clearly is above WWE directive and has posted numerous promos on Instagram, sworn a lot on Twitter, and the aforementioned SmackDown stuff. So do you think, one of these things where a report like this comes out and some internet news writer would say, oh, it's rubbing people the wrong way, or, everyone's really upset with The Rock because it's one rule for him, it's one rule for everybody else. You actually think people are upset about that, or is that just people joining the dots?
Well, if you had one, that would be some people. And they may be complaining a little bit. Well, he can say what he wants to, but yet I can't. Well, that's his deal. That was The Rock's deal 20 years ago. And I mean, if somebody came out now and tried to use that language and you've never heard that before, it sounds strange. It really does. And this is word to the wise. They're making big money right now and things are up. I would kind of keep those comments directed to myself and don't air them out in the dressing room, because everybody has ears and everybody has a mouth. And if that gets The Rock, well, so-and-so was saying that you shouldn't do that. Oh, yeah. Well, that puts that person in a bad light. And Rock just might remember that the next time they're discussing this guy's contribution to the show. So just keep it quiet. What's my old saying? Stay in your lane. Stay in your lane and you're going to rub nobody the wrong way. Don't run your mouth. I learned that within the first year or two in the business. Old timer said, just don't tell everybody what you're thinking, because, it's going to go exactly from that guy directly back to the guy you're talking about. And before the night's over, the guy's in your face. So what do you mean by that? And it's it's not a very good political way of advancing your career. So I'd advise everybody in that WWE dressing room, keep it to yourself and go on. Just make your money and go. You're not going to be there forever. WWE is a stopgap in most guys' career, even in wrestling, but it is a great, great place of employment. Say you wanted to apply for a job and you put down between 2020 and 2026, I work for the World Wrestling Entertainment, WWE. Well, that's the first thing they're going to see when they're reading that thing. wait a minute, you work for you work for the WWE? Yeah. What'd you do? Now the whole conversation now goes to WWE because they want to know what'd you do and where'd you go and who'd you meet and this, that, and the other. Because it does make anybody who has worked for WWE stand out amongst the people applying for that job. I mean, it certainly makes you stand out more than the guy that worked down at some department store running a cashier machine all day long. So it is almost a reference unto itself. And even if you put it down in small type, it's still there and people want to talk about it. But anyway, I would say that if you don't like what they put out, watch your language. Just watch your language and don't worry about rocks. They'll handle that on their own.
Now, The Rock was quoted as saying on Instagram, I think just before.
Did he say anything about me?
He said Dutch Mantell should really watch this really close. No, he didn't say that.
Yeah, he needs to watch that mouth of his. Yeah, okay.
Says networks and quote-unquote standards and practices have issues with my language, but I'd rather be real than not. I talk from the heart, shoot from the hip, and try to always have fun, enjoy the rock concert. Mm-hmm. Now, is PG, because this was from Nick Khan, this memo, or whoever it's from. You know, it's from up top, so I imagine it was a Nick Khan directive. PG's stupid, isn't it? For wrestling, for pro wrestling after 9 p.m. or 8 p.m. or whenever it's shown in the States. I mean, PG.
Well,
it's simulated violence.
Yeah, yeah, it is kind of stupid, but
it's like you can like smash people over the head and threaten to break their ankles and stuff like that, but don't you dare say the word bastard. Or whoa, you're off this screen. Let me tell you.
Don't say damn.
It's a prick. What was it? Prick. Who's go on? Who's the guy's name?
Who
Brad
said
Maddox. Do you remember who said prick on TV without authorization? Vince McMahon fired him.
Yeah, but that's when they were like heavy into that, and it was on a dark match. Did you know that? Yeah,
that wasn't even on TV.
It was like the warm-up match.
Oh, no.
And they probably taped it for something. Maybe it's for some Angola channel or something out of the country.
Angola Today.
Yes, but he said, some of you pricks, and he was just talking to the crowd. I'm sure they didn't even tape this, which goes to show you that Vince was looking for a way just to get rid of the guy. So Vince didn't even do it. Vince never does that. Vince told the guy, tell Maddox he's fired and not to come back. That's it. And the guy went and told him. He said, tell him to get his bag and get out of here and don't come back.
Unbelievable. I interrupted you before when I said PG presentation, but heavy violence or simulated violence or some such. Why is there such a dichotomy? I don't understand it.
Well, join the rest of us. We don't get it either. So, I don't know. I have no idea. It's for the kids, I guess. I don't know.
Oh, dear. One more brief thing to add. Cody Rhodes would cut a promo on Raw this past Monday where he also went beyond the usual accepted standards and practices when he asked if The Rock would have big Dwayne energy or little dick syndrome. And that got quite the reaction this Monday as well.
Yeah. Well,
you have to put it in writing.
But they didn't
say dick? Please.
I don't know. But I did like the saying, and it got a hell of a pop. And it got a hell of a pop because the people aren't used to hearing that.